Hello there guys, RMP792 here. Dating in a small town. Here's the thing, I'm going to describe Durham as a small town even though it is a city. However, it's worth noting that the main reason we are a city is that we have a honking big cathedral. The town was actually built around it. Short version, St. Cuthbert was getting his body paraded round the country, and for some reason when they came to lift him on the day after they'd rested in Durham, they couldn't, and they decided, oh, this must be his final resting place, and they built a cathedral around him. They built a shrine around him, which eventually became a cathedral, and town formed around it. And back in the day, you needed a cathedral to actually be a city, so Durham is a city. It's also not that large in the grand scheme of things, and I'll freely admit that I am... Well, here's the thing. I've been single for quite a long time. Specifically, I have been single for about 2.5 years. Because I broke up with my girlfriend when I left university, or she broke up with me, I should say, because she was staying in York, I was coming back to Durham. We didn't want to try the long distance thing, and I have no regrets on that front. It was the right decision to make, because sorry to anybody who thinks this is who thinks this is false, but long distance relationships don't work. I've seen people try to make them work, and it never does. So as a result, yes, I've been single for quite a long time, and I'll freely admit that definitely does things to the way you operate. I rarely bother going out. I'm not massively sociable, and I really should try to be more. But the thing about Durham is, when it comes to places to have a night out in Durham, we're not exactly spoiled for choice. There's quite a few decent pubs. There's things like that. When it comes to what you would dub places to meet other people, you are very limited. We've got a couple of clubs, one of which is called Love Shack, which is, well, weirdly, I've never actually heard them play the song Love Shack, but that's probably because the DJ got bored of it. And the other one is Clute, which actually I seem to recall reading somewhere that it won a poll of the worst nightclubs in the Northeast and did pretty well in the worst nightclubs in the UK competition. So, yeah, never been in Clute. But regardless of that, I really admit it. I find it difficult to get talking to someone who I've never met before. Once I do get talking and I open up, I'm an absolute chatterbox. Let's face it, I could talk for 15 minutes straight on one of these vlogs without really breaking a sweat, metaphorically speaking. And that, I think, is a problem for me, because taking that first step's always the most difficult. So, to try and bridge that gap, I attempted online dating, and I have an account on a particular dating website. I won't tell you which one because I don't think it's particularly important, but I've tried that, and the problem there comes back to my problem that I was talking about in the last vlog, in that I don't like text messaging, and all those dating websites use effectively text messaging and instant messaging as their method of communicating and introducing yourself, which I'm terrible at. I come across I stress for so long about how to word the message exactly right that it just comes off incredibly awkward and just not very good. So that doesn't particularly work for me. And eventually one of my friends actually talked me into signing up for Tinder, which by which I mean download the app. And I've got to say, that is the most soulless thing I've ever done, because you're just sitting there flicking through image after image, and all you're doing is making value judgments based on their appearance, which is not what I want to be doing. Because here's the thing, as I say, I've been single for 2.5 years. I've never had what you would dub a casual relationship. I've never had a one-night stand, anything like that, because why haven't I? Partially because I've never really had the opportunity. I'll freely admit I have never had the chance to. So I honestly don't know if I would take the opportunity if it was presented. But there's a significant part of me that I know wouldn't be satisfied with that. If we consider the physical side and the emotional side, so something like a one-night stand fulfills the physical side, but that's not what I want on an emotional context. You know, in the long term, I want a serious long-term relationship. You know, let's face it, my parents met in university and they've been together ever since, and that's pretty much what I want. You know, I want to find the proverbial one. You know, cliched and hackneyed as that may be, but you know, in the meantime, yes, I would not be opposed to something more, you know, casual, more short term while I'm looking. But finding even that I have found extremely difficult because A, I'm very uncomfortable just approaching people, and B, I don't get opportunities to just approach people because, you know, I don't go out of an evening that often because it's not my thing. You know, the only time I go out in an evening is if I've got friends to go out with, because, well, that's worth doing, or when I'm going to my weekly sword class, because that's my weekly sword class. You know, I've got lots of friends there, and that's a really enjoyable thing that I like doing. So because Durham is just not a great place to meet people, you know, I've been told, oh, you should go for a night out in Newcastle. There's three problems with that. Well, they're all basically the same problem. Where do you kip? You know, because Durham and Newcastle are far enough apart that I can't viably walk home, that leaves me with three options. One, kip with somebody in Newcastle. Now, this requires me having a friend in Newcastle who's willing to let me crash on their sofa, which presumably means I'd have to actually go out with them on the evening and so on and so forth. I've only been out on a night in Newcastle once, which was not long before Christmas at a Hotspur School of Defence event, you know, where a few of us went out, and I you know, and one of my compatriots there was kind enough to offer the use of her spare room on the grounds that several of our housemates were away for the Christmas break. She was actually leaving on Monday, but I only needed, you know, the Saturday night, and you know, that was a very equitable arrangement. Yeah, but it's difficult to do that, you know, on a semi-regular basis. Option 2 is drive to Newcastle, which I can do, but that means I've got to stay sober because, of course, you know, I can't drink and drive. Well, I probably could, but it's a very bad idea, and I don't want to get arrested for that because, you know, of all the things to get arrested for, drunk driving is among the stupidest things you can do. So that basically leaves option 3, which is take public transport home. Now that means either the train, which takes about 15 minutes, but the last one, for some stupid reason, leaves at like 10 o'clock, so if I actually wanted to get home I'd have to leave really, really early, or I get the bus, which takes ages. It's like an hour and... it's north of an hour to get home, which it's doable, but you know, if you've been drinking it's incredibly boring and all that stuff. So nights out in Newcastle are not that easy for me to do. I suspect if I really put effort into it I could do it, but it's whether or not that effort would be worth it. You know, because I'd need a... yeah, because I'd want to be out with a group of friends so that I know that I have people to talk to if, you know, if I don't meet anybody and anything like that. The other times I've been out in Newcastle have been basically the parents have been going to the theatre, I go with them basically for the meal, and then if they're going to the theatre and I'm not going with them, because it depends what the show is, you know, if it's some Shakespeare I'll often go with them, if it's, you know, something else I'll often not bother. So, you know, so that gives me a few hours to kill in Newcastle, and most of the time I end up just going to the cinema or something like that because it kills a couple of hours quite happily. You know, because I do not do the clubbing scene at all. You know, I'm terribly uncomfortable. I can't dance worth crap, or I don't think I can dance worth crap. And you know, in a place like that, confidence really is the key, which, as we have established previously, I have no confidence in myself at all. You know, I mean, let's face it, you know, I have a ridiculous pseudo job that I barely get paid for. I still live with my parents. There's a bloody stuffed toy and a Lego Darth Vader visible in the background of this video. So that doesn't exactly do wonders for my confidence with members of the opposite gender. And it's... I'll freely admit, I have, lots of hang-ups. You know, I have a mental list of things that, you know, to me the perfect woman should have. And does that list give me hang-ups? Probably not, if I'm all honest. You know, it's things that are nice to have, but I don't necessarily need. Because ultimately, as long as they're a fundamentally decent person, I can get along with them. But even establishing that these days, I find incredibly difficult, because again, the way that most people expect to meet other people these days is either through work, and let's face it, this is the closest thing I have to a job at the moment. You know, so that's that out. Or through things like, you know, Tinder and Match.com and OkCupid and all those kind of websites, which I am terrible at using. And it doesn't help that, again, I don't have confidence in my appearance. There's only ever been one photo of myself that I like. Literally one photo I have ever seen that I genuinely like. And that's because I had no goddamn idea it was being taken. I was actually in the run-up to a performance that my orchestra was doing at the Sage in Newcastle. And they basically sent a photographer around to a few of the rehearsals, and by pure random chance, he'd taken a photo of me while I was playing my violin with my eyes closed, and it's the only photo of myself where I look completely natural. Because I didn't know it was being taken. Normally, I'm one of those people who, yeah, they say smile, and I sort of go, and it looks freaky as hell. Because I can't smile naturally on command. You know, the channel image that I use is literally just a screen cap from one review, because that was the closest I could get to looking natural, was when I was, you know, in motion and talking and doing things. You know, if I actually tried to pose for an image, it'd come out freaky as all hell. And that is a problem. And it's a problem with me, you know, and I honestly don't know. There's no real way for me to solve it, if I'm honest, because it requires me to fundamentally change my personality to become more confident. And I don't know that that can happen. You know, certainly not happen on a, you know, sudden on a dime turn. And it'd be I don't know if I can. I should try. You know, if you don't try, you will always fail. You know, but it's about, as I say, what I really want to find is that one person that I can be happy with for the rest of my life. And I don't know if I can. I don't know if I will ever do that. You know, for all I know, I'll end up dying alone. You know, and that'll be the end of it. Wouldn't be surprising. But hey, I'm a pessimist. And yeah, honestly, I don't know if this vlog's any good. It's at the moment it's 13 minutes of me just talking about my hang-ups and just being terrible and fairly useless. It would help if I had some of that American confidence, because you always see these American TV shows with the people just, you know, oh yeah, you know, being really confident and happy. British people aren't like that, or a lot of them aren't. You know, we have a culture that, you know, what's the was it a John Oliver quote where his comment is, you know, we're just kept in place by a rigid class system right from the get-go. You know, so it is very true. It does inform our personalities in a lot of ways, and nah, that's not true, because I know plenty of people who are very confident and very sort of sure of themselves. But I'm not one of them, and I wish I was. It would make my life a lot easier, but I'm not. And yeah, that's really all I have to say. Confidence is the key, and I don't have it. I'm not going to stop trying. You know, let's face it. I will keep looking. I will keep, you know, I will keep trying to go out, try and meet new people, and hey, maybe one day I will get lucky. And ah, boy. Anyway, I'm running out of time on this vlog, so I will say thank you very much for watching, and yeah, and I will see you in future videos.